Rusty Quill presents
Ain't Slayed Nobody is a produced actual play podcast intended for adults, and may contain material that some people find disturbing. Please see the episode notes for content warnings, and listen with care.
This scenario takes place in the modern day, and it kicks off at least in Asheville in North Carolina, a place about which I know almost nothing, so apologies to our listeners if I screw up any local details. The player characters are all members of a support group called Survivors, which meets every Wednesday evening at the New Life Church in Asheville. The support group is designed to help people who have lost loved ones to violent crime. There are about 8 people in the group. Not everyone turns up every week, but yeah, it's fairly well attended. It's led by Pastor Waltz of the New Life Church, and you three are sort of a group within the group. What makes you stand out within this group is that, unlike everyone else, you three all lost someone to the same incident. Last year, about 6 months ago, there was a mass murder that took place in a cabin in the woods about an hour's drive outside town. The murder was a bloody one. People were hacked up with what was described by the medical examiner as an old farm implement. I've got some secrets that I gotta keep. Yeah, there's emotions swirling underneath. It doesn't seem daylight or feel the same. I've got a list of pieces beneath the sands of time. Busted There was one person, however, and we'll get to this in just a moment, who was not hacked up, but whose body was found hanging from a rafter, apparently having committed suicide. This may lead to some suspicions that they were responsible for murdering everyone else. The police and the medical examiner, however, have not made any conclusive determinations about this. They haven't, as far as you're concerned, adequately resolved the case, and because of lack of evidence, they may never actually do so. So I think with that established, let's go around and introduce your characters one by one, and then we'll launch into a meeting. Do you want to start, Rina?
Tonight I'm playing Dr. Alex Sharp, psychiatrist. Their pronouns are they and them. They're fairly tall, about 6'1". They have close cropped hair, dark gray eyes, androgynous sort of features, a nose ring, which they take out when they're at work, and they tend to go for skinny jeans and flannels and hiking boots. They like the outdoors quite a bit, so that's what you'll normally see them in when they're not at work.
And who did Alex lose in the murder?
Alex lost their partner, Patricia, who usually went by Pat. Partner of 6 years.
Okay. I should establish at this stage what they were all doing there, all the people who died. This was a weekend retreat for a local startup in Asheville called The Inmost Light, who were a small company led by a woman called Natalie Fernan, who basically produced digital products, but they were starting to move into physical products aimed at people who practice mindfulness meditation. Wes, do you want to tell us who you're playing?
I'm playing a character named Paul Beavers. He's a marketing analyst. just kind of a average guy. You probably catch him wearing Dockers, and to try to have a little cool streak, he's wearing skate shoes with a tucked in t-shirt. In his life, he lost his brother Jeremy in the incident, and Jeremy was the product manager for the guided meditation product at Inmost Light.
Excellent. And then you, Cuppycup, tell us who you're playing. God help us.
My character's name is Bobby Double, and I am a gas station proprietor here in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm a franchisee of the Sip and Zip, a popular gas station chain. Pretty average guy, thinning hair. He's pretty reserved. He doesn't openly share information within this support group because one of the victims, his brother, Eric Double, was that man you mentioned earlier, Scott, who was hanged. So he kind of feels this air of suspicion around his brother potentially being the murderer, even though he's his twin brother. He's pretty sure that his brother's not involved in the actual murdering. But the support group lets him air out his feelings every now and then when the moment's right.
Okay. It is Wednesday night, and so it's time for the regular weekly meeting of survivors. As you all arrive, Pastor Wells is there helping to set up the tables and chairs. There are a couple of people who are putting out the table for the coffee urn and the snacks. Tammy Jo, who works at a local donut place, has brought a box of Dayols to share with everyone, but last time she did that, you could have hammered in nails with them. You can smell the coffee from the urn that's brewing, and, it's coffee, you can probably drink it, but it does have that slight aftertaste of battery acid. Pastor Walsh greets each one of you as you come in. He's a man in his late 50s, early 60s with a shock of grey hair. He's one of these people who puts on a cheerful demeanour, but you've seen it crack too many times to believe that it's genuine. He's not just leading this group because it helps the community, but also because he lost his wife in a convenience store robbery many years ago.
Was that a Sip and Zip?
I was going to ask.
You've got enough shit coming your way without the pastor hitting you as well.
Fair enough.
So, as you turn up, you get roped into setting up the chairs and tables and so on. It looks like, including the pastor, there's 6 of you this evening. Including the usual attendees, there's someone new this evening. You haven't seen a new person turn up to this since, you lot, 6 months ago. There's a young woman who's come in, who is standing by the doorway very hesitantly looking in. She looks like she's in her late teens, early 20s. She's got frizzy blonde hair, fairly long, and tied back with a red bandana. She's wearing a fairly colourful blouse tied across her midriff in a knot, and faded, fairly ratty-looking jeans and sandals. Pastor Walsh, as soon as he notices her, goes over, and you can see that they're having a quiet conversation.
Alex is going to walk in and take a cup of coffee and go sit in a corner seat where they can watch the conversation without appearing to watch the conversation, just taking in all the details in case they need them later, and not speaking to anyone else.
Well, I'll tell you what, then let's go straight into the dice. If you want to eavesdrop on this without making it look like you're eavesdropping, you could give me a listen roll.
Okay. Let's see. Nope, that is not a success.
Yeah, it's difficult. There are people still dragging chairs around, and there's the conversations of the 8 or so people who are there as people are drifting in. So, you can't really make out any of it.
And Bobby's just going over to the table of refreshments and scoffing at the stale donuts. Hell, the fresher at the Sip and Zip. Just kind of muttering under his breath, but not taking a keen interest in the new woman. He just wants to... I guess Rina already took the corner with Alex. When he sees they took that seat, Bobby's going to take the next farthest seat away from everybody he can.
As you're walking over towards it, Tammy Jo, shoots you a look and says, "Well, you keep talking about how good your donuts are at the Sip and Zip, but you never see you bring any over here."
Yeah, I'm not running a charity. I'm just trying to make a little comment here. Even our day olds are better than these, though. Hell.
She harumphs and sits down heavily in her seat.
My bet is on Tammy Joe for the murderer.
Paul sees that, and he's going to go walk over and sit next to Tammy Joe and let her know that it's okay, and her donuts are very good, and he values her as a client.
Oh. Yeah, you're dying first. Then the last couple of people drift in. There's Eugene, who lost his son a while back. He's changed the details of the story a few times, but reading between the lines, it sounds like it was a drug deal that went wrong. And then there's Christine, who tends to be fairly quiet through the meetings. Pastor Waltz leads this young woman over, and she seems to find the one that is pushed the furthest back, and sits in that and actually pushes it just that bit further back, and sits there with her arms crossed, just staring down at the ground.
Can I try to push my chair further back than hers?
Oh, God. But Pastor Ball starts off the meeting with the usual, thanking everyone for coming. Without too much ado, launches into asking how everyone is doing. And almost immediately, Tammy Joe jumps in there. It would have been her daughter's 22nd birthday next week, so she's got quite a lot to process, and she always gets very emotional whenever she talks to these things, but she's getting even more emotional than usual. She talks about how, she thought she had it all together at long last, but, whenever holidays and birthdays and so on comes up, it just sort of brings everything home again, and by the time she gets through a few minutes of this, she just has to stop, because she's been floods of tears. While this is happening, you notice the new woman who's come in. She didn't really look over at Pastor Waltz when he started things off. She's paid no attention to Tammy Joe when she's been speaking, but she does seem to be casting surreptitious glances at each of the three of you.
Can Bobby stare back at her? I think Bobby is particularly wary of people at this meeting because he does feel that suspicion around Eric, his brother. Mm. Do I recognize her from anywhere or see anything else unusual?
No, I'm fairly sure you've not seen her before.
Okay.
Yeah, give me a spot hidden roll, because the lighting in this room isn't fantastic, but just see whether you can pick up on a few details about her.
As long as I'm glaring at her while I do this spot hidden. So that's a fail. Spot hidden's not very good. I'm not gonna push this one.
Oh.
Push the roll.
Push the roll.
Yeah, so, she just carries on looking at the floor, and then just every now and then her eyes flicking over towards you.
Okay.
And so, are any of you speaking during the meeting this evening? Are you sharing anything about what's going on?
Of course.
Alex definitely will.
You want to go ahead, Alex?
Alex just leans forward, resting their elbows close to their knees and looking down at the floor, not looking at anyone. They're trying very hard to take their own advice, psychiatrist, heal thyself, by going to these meetings and actually making themselves talk, but it's hard. And they just sort of look at the floor and they say, I had to go back to work yesterday for the first time. I couldn't take more than 6 months, and I saw one of my regulars. Oh, I just wanted to get out of there. She wouldn't stop talking about this stupid boyfriend who's no good for her, and she knows he's no good for her, and he's abusive to her, and she won't leave him, but she keeps coming to my office, and she won't shut up about how much she loves this stupid man and how she wishes she could leave him, and I have to sit there and I have to tell her, I have to be nice to her, and I just wanted to get up and slap her in the face and tell her to get out and grow up, and I can't do that, obviously, and I just felt so angry, and is it always going to be like this? I don't know if I can't listen to their stupid little problems anymore. And I don't want to think they're stupid, but they are just so fucking stupid. And they just rub their temples and just keep staring at the floor.
Bobby looks up just long enough to shoot Paul one of these. Give him a little look like it's a little more intense than usual from Alex.
Paul kind of nods. He understands the anger, though. Well, Alex, I understand what you're going through. I get mad all the time. Every day, I think about my brother. I miss him so much. But I just kind of try to find strength in the little things, you know? Like the little joys of life. Wake up in the morning, see the sun come up. But it gets difficult to find that joy every day.
Paul, do you ever just want to punch someone in the face because they look too happy when they said hello?
Oh my God, yes, every day. Sometimes in a client meeting, they'll be talking about how our marketing's not doing enough for their product, and I just want to, just reach across and grab them by the shirt and say, you listen here, if you put more money into it, and I just, I'm sorry, y'all.
Bobby's scooting his chair further back as they're talking about punching somebody. Yeah, I ain't got a whole lot to say. I know where y'all coming from, but I've seen the way you look at me, the way you see my brother, and think he did those terrible things, but it ain't true. And I guess I just want people to know that I feel the same hurt that you do. And I look like him, but I don't know these people. I didn't know your kin. I'm just trying to pick up the pieces of my own life, damn it. And it ain't fair. It ain't fair. I hear you talking during our little breakouts, and I'm just tired is all. I'm just tired.
The young woman who's been sitting there silently just staring at the ground until now looks up and says, almost too quietly for anyone to hear,
I don't think he did it.
Oh. Sorry, ma'am. What did you just say?
Oh, nothing.
And then goes back to looking at the ground. And Pastor Walsh looks around and says, Annie, do you have anything you'd like to share with us tonight? And she just shakes her head and carries on looking at the ground.
Well, wait, you said you don't think he did it. Why don't you think he did it?
Because he didn't.
Well, how would you know?
She just looks really confused for a moment, and then just shakes her head, and her whole face purses, and she just looks at the ground even more intently.
Bobby's actually going to get up and walk over to her, stand maybe 3 feet away. His whole life at this point is basically dedicated to trying to clear his brother's name. So when she says that, it's very intriguing to him. So he's going to walk over and say, who are you? What do you know about these murders? Why did you say that?
Pastor Walsh at this stage stands up, and he puts a gentle hand on Bobby's shoulder and just says fairly quietly into your ear, maybe we can talk about this afterwards. This is meant to be a safe space. I think you might be a bit threatening at the moment. Sit down, and if you need to speak later, please, my door is always open.
Yeah, I can catch up with her later. Okay, yeah. Just, and then just kind of stare at her as I go back to my seat.
She's looking back up at you, and you can see, her eyes, you're not quite sure what the emotion in there is. She looks confused more than anything else.
I could roll for accounting. If it's an accounting look. No, I'll sit down. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Alex is just sort of watching this. They have very still body language. As a psychiatrist, they're very adept at keeping their body language neutral when they want to. but they're watching this whole interaction. Can I do a psychology roll to see if I'm picking up on what she's emoting, if anything?
Yeah, by all means.
God damn it.
Jesus.
Go have a donut.
Alex is just too overcome. They're still feeling, obviously, all of this rage and this emotion that they'd been keeping up until they could speak at this meeting, and they can't quite separate other people's emotions from what they're feeling right now to be able to tell what she's actually giving off.
And also, in Alex's defense, this young woman, Annie, does seem to be fairly inscrutable.
Pastor,
Yes, Bobby.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to run your meeting for you or nothing, but isn't it customary, at least for folks to introduce themselves when they come into this meeting? The types of things we talk about here, I don't feel comfortable in front of a total stranger.
Well, we were all strangers once, weren't we, Bobby?
Yeah, you got a way of saying things, I suppose. All right. I just won't talk none then.
That's different from normal. How?
Alex.
Please, Alex. Please. Treat the other attendees with respect.
I'm trying to, Pastor. I'm trying. He's been coming to these meetings all 6 fucking months, and he's spoken maybe twice. Listening to all of us pouring out our grief and pain.
Look, everybody's got their pace. Everybody takes their own time, Alex.
I find it peculiar the night I do speak that you lash out at me. I'm trying here. I got more on my plate than y'all do.
Oh, fucking really?
You don't know what it's like. Dealing with the press. Dealing with y'all.
As if we don't have to deal with you.
Paul just hangs his head, puts his head in his hands and sighs.
Bobby turns his chair toward Paul, away from Alex.
Alex knows they're not being super professional, but they're angry and they can't vent their anger anywhere else.
Annie is watching all of this quietly, again with that same unreadable expression. Are your characters sharing anything else that meeting, or shall we skip to the end of the meeting?
I think Bobby's going to be pretty quiet from here on out, unless he's prodded.
Paul's probably shutting down. The conflict will shut him down.
And Alex doesn't trust himself to say anything else right now, out of respect to the pastor.
Okay, well, I mean, with you three finished, Eugene starts up and, with some poor judgment, tries to lighten the situation, makes a few sort of dad jokes and stumbles around a bit conversationally, loses his thread, tries to then steer it back into actually talking about genuine emotions, and by the time everyone's done, the tonal whiplash from the whole thing seems to have amused him as much as everyone else. And the meeting just sort of putters out at the end of that. Pastor Welts thanks you all for coming this evening, and, makes his usual plea to everyone to help put everything away afterwards, stack the chairs and the tables and so on.
Yeah, Bobby's going to help out.
I stack all the chairs by myself, very angrily stacking chairs.
I'm throwing the rest of the donuts away, the leftovers.
Paul's grabbing a broom and is going to sweep up under the snack table.
And Annie is standing over by the doorway. She's got a mobile phone out now, and she's looking at it and every now and then just giving it a prod or a flick.
Can Bobby take the trash bag outside, like he's going to take it to the dumpster, and kind of try to pry, see what she's up to as he walks through the doorway?
Yeah. As you walk towards her with the bag.
I've got something to show you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just get that door right quick and we can talk in the hallway.
But I need to talk to them as well.
She points at Alex and Paul.
Okay, well, he's so curious that he's just going to put the bag down next to the door All right, let's talk. Paul, get over here, just for a minute here.
What do you want? You want to talk now?
Not me. She wants to talk.
Oh,
Alex, put them chairs down. Get over here, please.
Clatter. They come striding over. Yes.
Yeah, perhaps because you're in a bit of a temper, it takes you a moment to realize, looking at Annie, who's standing there, holding this phone. And then, I guess, after a moment, your attention goes to the phone. And what Alex notices, it's probably a coincidence, but the plastic case on the phone is exactly the same as the one that Pat had.
You wanted to show us something?
Yeah, do you know how to get the photographs on this?
what, on like a mobile phone?
Yeah.
Is it not your phone?
It is. I'm just not very good with it.
Like you look like square in the demographic of somebody that would know how to use a mobile phone like real well.
She shrugs.
Alex holds out their hand expectantly.
Okay, she passes it over to you, and yeah, you look at it, and the screen has got a crack on it in exactly the same place as Pat's phone had.
Is it password protected or fingerprint protected or anything?
No.
So, keeping one eye on her and one eye on the phone, I'm going to pull up the photo app.
Okay, yep, you go to the photo app, and the first picture in the gallery is a picture of Pat standing. It looks, from the lighting, it looks like it was taken with a flash photograph. Pat is standing against a fairly rough-looking wooden wall. She's looking blankly at the photographer, just no expression at all on her face.
Where did you get this?
She asked me to come and find you.
Where did you get this?
There are more.
Start rapidly scrolling, swiping through the photos.
The next picture on there is a picture of Jeremy Beavers, again standing against this wooden wall, the same kind of blank expression on his face.
Paul?
What?
Look at this. Look at this.
Where did you get this photo? Did somebody send this to you, or did you take this picture?
Keep going.
And the next picture on there, if you hadn't seen the other two pictures, first of all, you probably would have assumed that it was Bobby, but maybe it's Eric.
Bobby?
What's going on?
Who is this? Is this you or him?
What the hell?
You certainly don't remember a picture like that being taken.
What, no, this ain't...
And the shirt that Eric's wearing, in fact, the clothes that all of them are wearing, you're fairly certain they were wearing before they died last year.
What is this? Where'd you get this? Where'd you get these pictures?
They asked me to take them.
Who's they?
Who?
Them.
Just pointing at the phone.
They asked me to come and find you, and they need your help.
Who the hell are you talking about? You talking about the people in the photos asked you?
Yes.
Need our help? They're fucking dead. Fuck you, coming to people in their grief, playing mind games with them. Fuck you!
Ma'am, I'm gonna ask you one time. Where the fuck did you get this phone and these pictures from?
Well, I took the pictures last night. They asked me to.
Wait, you took these pictures last night?
Yeah.
Of my brother?
These people ain't alive. I've seen other pictures. These people ain't alive. You're lying.
No, I saw them last night.
Where?
If that's my brother, you take me to him right now.
Okay, that's what he wants me to do. Look, I just went into this shack in the woods, this cabin, because I needed somewhere to crash overnight. And they were there. They said that they needed help, and they asked me to come find you. They told me about each of you and said where I could find you. I spent all day looking for you.
It still don't make any sense. What?
She's dead. She's dead. Don't you understand? I had to identify her.
Yeah, this ain't funny. We buried my brother.
What was left of him?
Eric's neck's broken. This ain't Eric. When did you take these? No, not last night. How many years ago you take these? You're playing a trick on us, or?
No, I took them last night, though. I was sleeping in the shack, and they woke me up.
Can I go into the details on the photo? Because it can tell me when it was taken.
Yep, it was taken a little after 3 a.m. today.
Could Bobby grab the phone and start scrolling through every photo that's in the album?
Once you get past those 3, you're starting to go back to ones that were taken, from the date stamps if you check them on the weekend of the murder, and they're showing the various people from the Inmost Light there at the retreat. There are a few of them sitting around outside, having beers. There's, them sharing a meal inside. Photographs of, them gathered around a whiteboard, brainstorming ideas and stuff like that.
Wait, is this your phone?
Yeah, I told you.
But you didn't know how to get to pictures, but this is your phone.
Yes.
Did you work it in Most Light?
I don't know what that is.
But you have all these pictures of Arcane.
They asked me to take them.
From the day of the murder?
What? What murder?
What do you mean, what murder? You just walked into a grief group. We all talked about it.
Oh, right. I was just told I could find you here. The people you were talking about in the meeting. Is that them?
Yes.
Of course. That's why we're reacting like this.
Oh.
They told you to come here? Who told you to come here?
And she just points to the phone again.
Ma'am, I'm about to call the police if you don't start being straight with us.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you everything I know.
How far is this place? This place you've seen them?
No, I can take you there. It's maybe like an hour's drive. I hitched here.
Paul, what do you want to do?
I want to get in my car right now and go. Y'all want to go?
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's not possible. I'll go up there with you, but if this is some hideous prank, I'm calling the cops on you.
And she just nods quietly.
Bobby whispers to Paul, if this is a prank, I'm going to kill this woman.
I'm going to help you.
I'll hide the body.
By the way, seeing as the 3 of you have been now fairly close up with Annie, without now having to make a spot hidden roll, there are a few things that you've picked up as you've been talking to her. While she is obviously quite young, she's got quite a weathered look to her as well. Her skin looks quite rough, as if she spent quite a lot of time outdoors. And there's a fine network of broken blood vessels or gin blossoms on her cheeks that indicate either a lot of time spent outdoors or heavy drinking. I mean, she doesn't smell bad, but she's definitely unwashed and clearly tried to cover up the lack of bathing with a lot of patchouli oil.
If this is some kind of trick to get money out of us, it's not going to end the way you think it's going to end, ma'am.
I don't want your money. I'm just trying to help them.
Why couldn't you bring them to us then? Why didn't they follow you?
They just said that they needed help and asked me to... Look, I don't know. Look, you keep asking me lots of questions that I don't have answers to. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to help.
Were they in cages? Why?
Look, they just said for me to come get you.
Paul, you driving?
Oh, hell yeah.
Shotgun.
Damn it.
Deep glare at Bobby.
I don't want to take my Mustang out there anyway. I'll ride in the back. I don't give a damn.
And Alex has already marched out of the church because if they don't start moving, they might actually start breaking something with all the pent-up rage.
Alex is ahead, so Paul clicks the unlock so Alex can get in the car.
And not rip the handle off the door.
And Bobby's going to whisper to Paul, can she ride in the trunk? The new woman.
Now be nice and let her ride in the back, but if she messes up, we can do what we need to.
All right.
So Annie's sitting in the back with Bobby. Are you just driving straight off at this stage? Are you picking up anything first, or are you heading straight out of town?
Do we want to stop at the Sip and Zip?
I got my gun there.
No, we don't.
Ma'am, who else was here? Is this dangerous? What are we driving into here exactly? How did this place look? What did you see? You slept there?
Well, it's just a wooden cabin in the woods.
Right. Paul, you got an axe or a baseball bat or something in the trunk? In case there's trouble?
Yeah, I keep a small, child-sized baseball bat in the trunk for protection.
Child size.
I'm not that violent of a person, but, I'll get there. I will. If you cross me. I don't like to use inappropriate words, but I will fuck you up.
I see it. Which way we going anyway? You know the way, miss?
Mm-hmm.
She nods. You know where the cabin where all of this took place last year was, obviously. It's up Highway 63 up to the northwest.
Have we all obviously been out there before?
Yeah, that's a good point. Who has actually been to the murder site before?
Alex definitely has. Closure.
Bobby's driven there, but he couldn't get out of the car.
I don't think Paul has not. He didn't want to see it.
But you probably still would have seen photographs in the news, because it was a fairly big local news story.
Right.
I just walked through the woods, and eventually I found Lower Fork, and I hitched a ride from there.
And you obviously know the geography of the area fairly well, but Lower Fork is off to the east in almost completely the opposite direction from the shack.
How did you get all the way over there from the shack and then hitch a ride all in one night?
Well, now it just seems like we have 2 murder shacks going on here. That's a lot for one town.
It's a chain operation.
She says,
There was a trucker who brought me into town.
I think Bobby's encouraged by that because it does give him that kind of glimmer of hope that they're alive if it's a different place. If she was just taking us to the murder shack, I would think this was some kind of scam for sure. But he can't make it work in his head. Not yet.
and so what's your plan? Are you following Annie's directions? Are you going somewhere else?
Nothing can be worse than my life right now. Paul, go wherever the hell she's telling you. She's got these pictures.
All right, we'll go.
Okay.
Just take the highway out of town east and drive for about an hour. I can direct you from there.
So we're heading that way.
Alex does not say a thing the entire drive.
Paul's nervously fiddling with the radio the whole way.
Ma'am, is there anything else you need to tell us before we get out to wherever the hell you're dragging us?
She just shakes her head and then looks out the window.
And what is it we're going to see there? We're going to see Eric alive? Is that what you're telling me?
He told me to to come and find you.
I still have her phone. And I'm just obsessively just flicking back and forth through the pictures of Pat, just looking at them over and over and over again, and then getting to the end and going back.
Well, it's not just that. As you're going through the gallery, once you get past those, you start finding all sorts of personal photographs that Pat took a while back, including photographs of you.
Ma'am, where'd you get this phone?
And she just carries on looking out the window.
Are you going to answer her or what?
I already told you.
Alex just keeps staring straight ahead. Paul, it's Pat's phone.
Are you sure it's Pat's phone?
It's got the same case, got the crack right here. She dropped it in the kitchen when she was making curry one evening because I snuck up behind her and I just sort of put my arms around her, wanted to say hi, and she got surprised and she was checking her phone for the recipe and she jumped and she dropped the phone and the screen cracked, and I know that screen, Paul. And there's pictures on here that can't be on here unless it's her phone.
Like what?
There's a picture of us and our dog from when we first moved down here.
Okay.
We moved down here 4 years ago. How could she have this picture, Paul? We never even put this on Facebook. It was just on her phone.
Young lady, you're going to have to tell us where you got that phone.
I told you. It's my phone.
It's not your phone.
Where did you get this phone? This ain't your phone.
I keep telling you, man. Look, you can shout at me all you want, but I don't know what else to say.
You can see just in the dim light that's inside the car, the reflection of her face as she's looking out the window into the night. I mean, it's pitch dark outside now. It's about 10 o'clock at night. And you can see that her eyes are wide as she's looking out, and she looks like a frightened child.
We'll be there soon.
Tomorrow just because I had to kill the little rat. But I swore he'd never get away with that.
You are listening to Ain't Slayed Nobody. For ad-free episodes, heaps of bonus content, and special programming, please join our Patreon posse at patreon.com/ain'tslayed. Or subscribe to Ain't Slayed Nobody Plus at Apple Podcasts. See the show notes for full credits, and help us grow by posting friendly reviews and spreading the word to your friends and followers. Thank you, and good luck out there.